Okay, hello everyone. I'm just going to hopefully I'll come through okay now. We'll get there eventually. Okay, hello everyone. I'm just going to Aha, that sounds a lot better. Okay, let's get Jerome back in here and hopefully that will maintain. I've given everything a bit of a kick.
Hello. Okay. Right, hang on. Just close me painted. So my favourite orc model. Right. I think out of the current range, I'd have to say it's got to be the Death Killer Wardrike. Like the whole Speed Freaks thing is what brought me to orcs. I remember when that game got released. It was a real lure. And I was about this close from ordering the whole box. And that same weekend, they released all the teasers for the Genes to the Cults, like Attal and Jackals and stuff. Um, and yeah, having already had a Genes to the Cult army, and I sort of shelved that when we kind of got a bit battered by the Codex creep. We were like the last people waiting. And as soon as I saw those jackals, I was like, right, okay, there we go. That's my motorbike need sated. Um, so yeah, it kind of got put on hold. But yeah, in the back of my mind, there was always that kind of, oh god, I really want to paint a Jagster and a Deathkiller Wardrike. So the Dragster is actually coming next week. Yeah, well, I kind of kit bashed a couple out of old like bits of Deathcopter and Buggy and stuff, just to kind of get myself gaming. So basically that all started um, in lockdown. As at the time I've been painting my Emperor's Children army uh, with the aim to try and get it all finished for last year's Vanquish tournament in Bristol in April. So I got my time, stuck to my time schedule, got it all done. Then obviously lockdown happened, so I was like, I've painted all my chaos. What do I do? I was just kind of looking around my bits box, and I don't know what point in the evening it'll kind of come up on the screen. Um, but the Chaos Dreadnought that I kind of converted. Um, I'd never really painted vehicles before. But before we got cut off, we were talking about seeming to be attracted to like flimsy models and really easy to break models. But they're all kind of all. So even when you love the Eldar reference, because you do need to be neat. They've got that nice mesh armor and stuff, but it's all fairly organic. Like even their armor is, it's this psychoplastic that reacts and moves around their body. It's like a fluid armor. So like with them, with my Tyranids and Genes to the Cult, even when they're wearing stuff, it's like enviro suits, long jackets or cloaks. Half my Eldar are riding around on dragons. So I'd always been painting very sort of organic, like scales, fur, tentacles, gribbly bits. So that's why the kind of that's what I'd kind of call being a bit messy, because you can dry brush stuff on, slap a load of ink, see what works. If it doesn't, you've still got space to work with it. So the power arm of the Chaos Marines was in itself a new challenge. And then the dread, I'd never repainted like a big vehicle. I think I'd painted a couple of Eldar Walkers, but I've never really been a big vehicle fan either. Um, like I like the little guys. Um, just that's what it always was to me growing up. I ran an Eldar army in the '90s, so it was just all aspect warriors. It was just no, everything got butchered. When I got back into the hobby, when parenting began 7 years ago, I I know, showing my age now. Um, yeah, so that they were my love back in the 90s. So that when a friend and I got playing again, we I think seventh edition was out, and I played a demo game in store, and I was like, you know what, I've got all the books and templates for second. Seventh didn't quite catch me. I'm only playing against my buddy who played second, who's got all the stuff, and he couldn't be bothered to kind of make the jump either. So we were playing second edition anyway. So I was just used to. So I stripped all my old stuff and started repainting that. So some of the models are still there. In fact, the on one of the pictures of the Exodites army on parade, I think like the Karandras that's been converted to ride on a Carnosaur. That is the That's the first medal I ever got. That was Christmas 1994. That Karandras. Uh, we- oh God, yeah, yeah. That was going to be a short. That was like a sound check question. Uh, but boom. But yeah, so that's where the orcs kind of came back in. I painted this Chaos Dreadnought, having never really having painted a Chaos Marine army, so having never really painted power armor. I painted the Chaos Marines, having never really painted vehicles before. I painted that converted Dreadnought, and then thought, do you know what? I can do vehicles as long as they're maybe like slightly battered, weird vehicles, because that Chaos Dreadnought was kind of half, foul demon spawn, corrupted flesh as it was. So yeah, I looked around the bits box with this Chaos Army now finished and no events to go to. All right, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Um, so yeah, I went back to that interest in the Orc buggies and looked around and thought, oh, what have I got? And that's kind of where I think what did I pull apart? I pulled apart some Genes to the Cult vehicles, some Imperial vehicles. I had a couple. Yeah, well, exactly. They loot to Kingdom Come. So I think the two Grot Mega Tanks kind of came from some old Space Marine Rhinos that didn't make the cut into the Chaos Army. And it was one of those things. I kind of looked around and thought, well, if I just get those three buggies that I really like from the range, this is linking it beautifully back into that previous really short question I was meant to answer. Um, if I paint that war trike, that dragster, and that scrapjet, add it to the stuff that I'm cobbling together,
Yeah.
I've got a nice little list that I can take down to the fun night on a Wednesday night and play some pickup games with.
Cool.
Again, obviously that didn't happen.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened yet.
I'm just
And
going
then
to
the whole thing just, yeah, it's got out of control. It's I think I found my spirit animal in the gaming and hobbying world, um, because I don't think there's ever really like a stopping point with orcs, because you can just loot anything the minute you see something that you think, oh, do you know what, I like that. What can I loot that into? So like, as long as there are still models in the world that haven't been looted yet, there is like the possibility for more looting. So I think they're one of those armies. Like I always kind of think like one army ahead,
mm,
and have, like, oh, I'm doing this now, but next I'll do this. um, but I don't know. I don't think there'll be like a finish point with the orcs, because you know, again, going back, linking that into my whole approach, I do what I do because of budget and necessity, but also because of wanting to explore that freedom,
mhm.
just making up random stuff.
Everyone should go through an orc phase. Also, Matt, if you can't hear me
No,
now, let me know.
everyone should make an orc army for the
Yeah.
the sense of liberation and the sense of invention, and like you'll do things you never thought you would
Perfect. Thanks, Matt.
do. Like the Morkanaut. My God.
Yes.
But
You've seen my Morkanaut, haven't you? The knight with the
the
Twyla.
knight.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's lovely, man. He's gorgeous.
We need to have
Uh,
a Morkanaut off. Although I feel like you've tried to make yours look. Although we were talking yesterday, so having recently got a promotion at work, because I'm very lucky.
Hey.
I know. I'm going to treat myself next payday to a warhound. and
Okay.
then
Yeah.
when we can, Lee and I are going to sit down and loot it. But I still haven't quite decided how to loot it yet. Either kind of a serious way, which is kind of the easy way, hang some grots off
Yeah.
it, have like some smash bits of armor plate and stuff, or what I kind of want to do is take a Dremel to it and just like cut out chunks of it and like make it look like there's been just massive holes punched in it, but then
Mhm.
fill the holes with little grot dioramas. I don't know why I have this like
Oh,
enduring
wow.
idea of having like the top of the
Yeah.
thigh smashed, but there's just a grot in there on the toilet. I kind of want to
Uh,
take the hips and like turn them
yeah.
into big squig.
A grot with a squig rotisserie
Yeah,
in a gun emplacement or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah,
have.
do that, make that happen.
I think so.
Maybe take out the warhound head with some sort of like mechanical squig head
Yeah,
or something like
something
that.
like
Yeah.
that. I kind of
Yeah.
want to do a for the hips. I want to kind of put a big squig hamster wheel on them.
Nice.
Um, we'll see.
Can you just spam all of like the Forge World Titan owners like Facebook pages with it? Um, Look what we've done with a warhound.
I didn't realize apparently they are more precious than
Yeah.
the what's the bigger than the heresy groups,
Yeah, I think
which surprised me.
the Warlord Titan owners club, like they have special meetups,
Jeez.
and like little like badges and insignia, and
I
it
mean, to be
is.
fair, it's a
But I mean,
grand.
it's a grand. You know, you might as well make the most of it. I mean, I don't even know what size of game you need to play to use one of those
I
things.
think there's 6,000 or 8,000 points. I want to say it's 2 for a
The Warhound's
warhound.
too, isn't it?
I think 3 or 4. I think 4 for a reaver and 6 for a warlord. I think
It would
it
be
might be
convenient if
8.
it went up in aggregates to 2,000.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, this is it. So the reason I'm getting a warhound is I want to take it to a tournament. I want to do a 2K. The next 2K tournament we have, I'm just going to take a warhound.
Warhound.
Give it double flame. And this is the other thing with looting it. You don't need to worry about buying all the extra gun arms. Like, it's looted. Today it's a flamer.
Yeah, just see what you got. See what you got. So basically, your approach to tournaments is to see if you can get away with taking the least amount of models in a warhound or the most amount of models in 750 grots.
Yes. Basically, I think what it is,
You only work in extremes.
yeah. I mean, I think, to be fair, it's something we've talked about quite a lot recently with a friend of mine who does a lot of comp play. So I would like to kind of, essentially, I don't particularly do well at tournaments because I take particularly dumb lists, which is fine. But I think actually sometimes, as much as I enjoy a dumb list, it's also not always the most rewarding experience because kind of you're not really like so last list I took 180 grots still, but I took kind of a few other bigger, chunkier things, and it was nice. And I kind of had a good time playing it. Whereas as much as I really enjoy playing the grots for a tournament level game, it's a lot of just standing around removing models because all the only strat when you've got that many grots is just
Yeah,
you literally go and stand on as many objectives as you can and just hope to hold them for long enough to score your points.
yeah.
So yeah, there will be some more sensible orky lists coming soon, but the orcs will be. I'm thinking in the grot army, the orcs have to be squigs.
Yes.
Like they can't actually be orcs because that's lame.
I like it. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Are you looking forward to getting out and gaming again?
I am. Yeah. I mean, I've not missed it as much as I thought I would, but then
Is that because you have a new baby though?
I do have a new baby.
I'm surprised you're awake.
I set an alarm on my phone to wake me up for this because I've got a habit of falling asleep in middle child's bed when I tuck him in. But I think the return to school they were both knocked. That's why I said 8:30 rather than 8.
Yeah.
But yeah, the return to school has knocked them out, and they were
That's
both asleep at 8. So
good.
but yeah, well, I think there was sort of a lessening of restrictions in the summer. So I got some Warcry in, and me and Jodie got some games at 40k in when the new edition kind of came out, and I've had you and Lee over for some Home Hammer.
Mm-hmm.
So over the summer,
I'd like to stress we had Home Hammer going when COVID restrictions allowed.
Yeah,
we were COVID safe and compliant the whole time.
Oh yes.
Follow your local guidelines.
Game safe. Game safe. I was even when Tom came for a game, I gave him his own little dice box, and then withdrew so he could come. It was strange experience.
Yeah.
But
well, they're good whiskey. We need to do that again, but I'll provide the whiskey next time because I felt bad for drinking yours.
Well, the nice thing was we drank all the whiskey. Then the next week, I had Lee over and had some homebrew ready for him, so that was good.
Nice.
But yeah, like
You,
I'm quite a fan of making up silly little games.
mhm,
So I've enjoyed doing some solo play, um, and kind of streaming a few of those things on our club Discord,
mhm.
um, and generally feeling like a lunatic because I'm having this kind of conversation with myself. Because I just quite like writing silly little rule sets,
Yeah.
um, which I've realised I think I've probably slowed down on it because it's really exhausting playing with yourself. Crazy.
Would you like to
Uh,
would you like to reword that so we don't get
nah, nah,
demonetized?
nah. I'll
not
die on this hill. I'll die on this hill.
not that we're
Uh,
monetized, but there you go. There goes my affiliate status.
this is a classy operation. Before I rocked up,
I mean,
uh,
given what your first, we did get a giggity from the chat there, just so you
good,
know.
good. But it's really tiring because you're playing against yourself, and then so you're doing twice as much work in the game as you would
Mm,
normally, and then you're like, and because they are missions I've made up or like rule sets I've made up, um, you're constantly like, oh, actually that doesn't work, and so you're constantly changing it on the fly as well.
yeah.
So it's actually a really exhausting experience. I've got the next one I've got lined up is with the newly painted Mecha Dread,
Yes.
um, because it is essentially a load lifter from Aliens,
Nice.
which is unintentional. And I'm really it's my favourite film of all time. And the whole time building it, I was like, I did not think for one instant this is a load lifter. It's only when I painted it, I stood back and went, oh, I've made a load lifter.
Yeah.
Hey, I've made a load lifter. I felt like, yeah, James Cameron would just be like, dude, how did you not realise that? I'm ashamed of you. So I want to do a little mission on my Alien vs Predator board, in which my big mech has
Hmm.
lost his grot. So I've got a little grot that's going to be newt, and he's got lost in this like space hulk that they've
Nice.
been clearing out. And so the big mech on foot will have to kind of like blast his way through corridors of gene stealers, to the end room where he gets to climb into his mech dread suit and take on a hive tyrant.
Nice.
Yeah, just so he can utter the immortal line, get away from her, you bitch, or however that would sound in orc language. I don't know. But yeah, that's my next solo play mission.
That sounds
Uh,
great. Although I
yeah,
do wonder whether any kind of mech would go that far for the sake
same.
of a grot. I mean, look,
Well,
I'm all here for grot love, but even I don't love grots that much.
I think, or maybe the Grot kind of run off with the big mech suit,
He's
the
got
Mecha
it
Dread suit, and he's going back to the Mecha Dread suit.
there. Yeah,
We'll have a bit of that, I
he's
think.
got his favourite spanner.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's or maybe he's controlling the mech suit with these kind of joysticks I made to look a bit like Nintendo, like remotes.
Oh yeah,
So maybe he's lost for a lot.
Nintendo remotes. God, you really are a dad, aren't you?
I know. It's like a handle and it's got like a glowing orb. Is that for a Switch or a Wii? I don't know.
is a Nintendo? Oh, let's go home to James and we'll play Nintendo.
You can't. No, if you come here, you can play a PS2 and be grateful
Or
for it.
no, to be fair, I love a PS2. PS2 was like my first grown-up console that I had. Like we had
Forget,
we had a PS1.
I forget you're a nipper.
I mean, to be fair, we had a PS1 and then we got burgled and then we bought a PS2 with the insurance money. It was great.
Hey,
Yeah, so
but
yeah,
then
every child.
if it only just come out though, I'd rather have the PS1 because at the time the first few years of PS2 games were at hands. That's kind of what I died a death of console gaming around that time, and
Mm.
it's only then when I kind of moved to university and got like a cheap second-hand PS2 for multiplayer, late night micro machines shenanigans.
Oh, Micro
Uh,
Machines, what a game!
and it's still going. It's still going. I still play that when people come around.
Oh, we're being accused of lies, Matt. What are we lying about? Sorry, we've got a slight delay.
Oh,
Are we being accused of lies about the PlayStation?
oh,
I know Matt is also a gamer.
okay. I used to be bang on it in the 90s, and now I don't know anymore. I'm old. Um, but yeah. So that's what he's got.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, yeah, okay. I was being called out for not loving grots. Yeah, okay, that's a fair point. I would go to the end of the earth for a grot.
Have you speaking of grots and their sort of endearing characteristics. Have you read the Brutal Cunning book yet?
I haven't. Is it good?
Read it. It's everything you want an orc novel to be, because
Nice.
it's entirely, well, not entirely, but it's everything from the orc perspective is just, it's just loutish carnage. And there's just like there's none of the pathies are there. There's no empathy. There's no sympathy. There's no, like, they're just they're just louts. It's whenever you see
Which
those pictures
works.
of, well, yeah, it's orcs, isn't it? Whenever
Yeah.
you see pictures, imagine like a football beer lads beach holiday, but we guns and squigs. It's that. It's great. They're just rampaging around,
Are we
smashing.
suggesting that Gazgul just keeps going back to Armageddon because, like, is Armageddon basically just Space Magaluf for?
Exactly. It's 1830, but in space.
Club 1830 for
They've got,
orcs.
like, well, I mean, if you think about it, they munch on luminous, like, squigs and shrooms.
True.
You know, it's like one of those, like, WKD drinks, pretty much.
Yeah, probably. Americans, yes.
But it's yeah. There's an endearing little grot called, I think, I can't remember his name now.
I mean, if it's not Nick, it is wrong.
Nizquick or something, or is that the guy that just come out with Git Stomper?
That's Nick it.
That's Nick it. It's something. They all sound a bit. I've just come up with a bunch of names for my glooms by Gits, and they all sound like that. So yeah, and he kind of he clings to the main character. I can't remember the name, but yeah, he clings to him the whole way through his rise to he's a knob, and then he becomes like a boss knob, and then
so he is an American.
So he rises through the story arc, and then there's this grot that just refuses to kind of like leave him alone and just harass him the whole way, but occasionally does something really useful.
That sounds like me when I was starting 40k and hanging out with, like, I was like 16, 15, going to Vets Club.
Guys, look what I've done, look what I've painted.
To be fair, actually, that was the making of me, like, as a gamer. And also, I've only realised in recent years, these people had a suspicious amount of stuff that they just kind of didn't need and so would give me for free. Like, I look back on my kind of 15-year-old self and the kind of collection I had, and I was like, there's no way I could have afforded all of that. So I was actually very, very lucky, I think.
What you say, lucky? Were you being groomed?
No, not at all. I remember once my favourite moment with any of them was... So, because it was in Salisbury, obviously, there's a big military presence, and one of them was Regimental Sergeant Major, who was based, I think he was in the Marines. Might have been, anyway, come on. He might be a rifle. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And I was sat outside the Games Workshop in Salisbury with my case after Vets Night had closed, and a couple of ne'er-do-wells, shall we say, came up and... Yeah, a couple of scallywags came up, just started kind of... You know how it's like giving grief. Like, they've just been in a nerd shop.
Yeah.
Is Gazgul named? I did not know. That makes sense. Apparently, Gazgul's named after Margaret Thatcher, and I could see that. Gazgul Thacker, Margaret. Yeah. If you drop right, if that's true, Matt, that's incredible. I love it. And it's fair. It would make sense because, you look at the other people of the day, Sly Marbo.
Yeah.
What was the there was the librarian who's like Obi-Wan Sherlock.
Obi-Wan Sherlock Clouseau. Or
no way, that's amazing. That's my new favourite trivia about Warhammer. The fact that
I am terrible. I'm awful with bad dad name, wordplay, pun joke titles. So my Inquisitor for Silent War, which hasn't happened yet. Boo!
Bring out Silent War. Silent War is a really cool event, by the way, where everyone takes an inquisitorial retinue built off some really cool Inquisition rules and an army, and basically get bonus points for your all the cool shit your Inquisitor do. And I think your Inquisitorial team counts as a kill team for kill team missions as well.
It does, yes. But more importantly, it gives you a really... There's a picture of mine on the slideshow, actually, somewhere. It gives you the opportunity to just mess about with some very silly models.
Yeah.
But yeah, the leader of my warband is Larissa De Canio,
nice.
Being what's the bloody term? Not a para thing. It's a player emblem that's from Lando Calrissian.
Nice.
Because
I thought it was Leonardo DiCaprio.
No, sadly not. Yeah, Lando Calrissian was kind of I was using his kind of roguishness because she was
Ah,
originally a rogue trader, and I was like,
spoilers.
and that's just a cover. There's not too much. There's not so much. There's not too much I can give away because each time I come up with some extra narrative for her, I then underwrite the narrative with yet more subterfuge. Um, because each time it evolves, or like each time I kind of think, oh, do you know what? It'd be really cool if I did this. Yeah, like the whole narrative behind it is just ridiculous now, but it kind of ties together the silent. The orc army is this kind of this host, this womb for many other little like life forms. Like my silent war kind of thing has come off there.
Mm.
We have been playing a wonderful original game called Death Race,
Oh, Death Race.
written by a
Death
member of
Race.
the Death Race,
Death
a member of the
Race.
Hackney area tabletop enthusiasts group, and we've been sort of doing a bit of playtesting on that, and I love it.
Yeah.
It's basically a game of Mad Max in
Yes.
40k. So I love it so much that I wrote a Death Race into the narrative campaign I ran before lockdown as an excuse to get more people playing it.
That was a good Death Race.
And that has become part of the sort of the lore around my orc army as well.
I will say though, just while we're talking about your campaigns, you do have this suspicious ability to win all of your campaign games very quickly and happen to always have the right list.
Lies.
Look, I'm not salty about the fact that there was a game where you had to control a mission for 2 turns and you played
You did not read the mission, the victory.
No, that's true. I didn't. Well, I confused player turn and battle turn, and also
you say you want to go to a competitive event.
It was well. The game was have a unit on this objective for 2 consecutive game turns, but it happened at the end of the player turn. At the end of the player turn, you happened to bring along some very very fast seekers and then some cultists to deep strike, so no one could charge your seekers.
It was very narrative because the week before
was it very narrative?
Yes, yes. So because I lost so many games in the campaign, okay, because I lost game weeks 2, 3, and 4, whatever. I only won the first week, and that was in a ridiculous game against the lovely David.
Yes.
Who was like
which David? Dark Angel.
Fianna Stone and his his kind of his evolved Dusk Raiders.
Yes.
Loyalist Dusk Raiders. Very cool concept.
Yes.
And he was gradually blowing me off the board, but I think I pulled off this outrageous last turn swing. Because it was like this. It was based on reinforcements. So yeah, it wasn't until the last turn I pulled that off. So that was like the one victory I had. I got battered by Death Watch like the week later. Like Mike brought a knight the next week and battered me.
Now, to be fair, my list that game was a Baneblade, 2 Lehman Russes, and an Astropath.
So you were outmaneuvered by my warlord, who did a crazy suicidal charge into the sights of your Baneblade. Having the week before, he was one of my competitors in the Death Race. So basically, in the narrative for it, I basically put that he just basically butchered all of the other commanders and fed them to his steed of Slanesh because they'd lost so many battles and the campaign dreadfully. So he rocked up, won the Death Race, and so it only seemed fitting that he would then sort of march to glory. To claim the entrance to the shrine we were all
See, I don't remember him. I remember him charging and sitting on the objective, and then you saying, "Cool, you can I blow up most of your army on turn 1 with all my shooting." But you were like, "Well, my guy's still there. All the Seekers were dead. All of your cultists were dead." But it was like, "Oh, I can't shoot that character because he's not the closest thing," and then you win. Tits. Which I will concede I should have read the mission better.
That might have happened. Yeah.
But
I think you also watched the game that I played previously with that exact list.
Yeah.
So
I'd seen bits of it. Yeah. It was I don't really think, but I did then spitefully set you up against Tom Taylor Big and his beautiful Harlequins.
Yeah.
Talking of which, yeah,
again.
we should talk about TTB. We should talk about Grots, because everyone who's come on, I have asked to pick their favourite Grot, their Grot of the day, if you will, and you have picked Vincent van Grot.
Yeah. By the way, I can't. Should I refresh the Twitch screen because I've still got the when I can't see what's going on here.
Oh, okay, if you refresh it, you'll see it. Yeah. Okay, I mean, all I've put at the moment is there's a picture of the Van Grot with both his Mondrian pictures and his Starry Night picture.
I just don't want to risk losing. I didn't want to
Yeah,
click. You know about me and my tech anxiety. I didn't want to press a button and
kill the
after
stream.
the whole, after the whole sound thing earlier, I was just like, oh god, I've cursed it. I've cursed it.
No, we should be good now. But yeah. So this is Tom's grot. The Mondrian paintings are actually a call to a joke because there's a D&D group I'm in which Tom was part of and a few of our other friends, and we had a whole argument as to whether Mondrian counts as art. I was very much on the side that Mondrian it does count as art, and other people on the side it doesn't. I love the shapes; they're good shapes. But so the Mondrian was a bit of a piss take because of that. But like the fact that he has replicated Starry Night on a 1 centimeter square.
It's bonkers. We growing up, I actually we had a set of Vincent van Gogh table mats for our dining room table. So it's an image I know well. I've eaten many a spaghetti bolognese off that thing, and it's a beautiful. It's very faithful. I love it, and it's just the fact. It's just the silliness of making an easel and a paint palette
Yeah.
to grot size. It's just redonkulous. And also for me, the Mondrian side of it also has like a sort of a personal in joke as well, because my eldest son often gets like letters and words kind of jumbled up a little bit, and he was banging on about Mondrian art, and we kept saying, "No, Albie, it's modern art." And then like he came home from school a week later with this like picture of like a Mondrian like that he'd done. Like, oh, okay, yeah, okay.
So what you're saying? Your son wasn't getting his words mixed up. He is actually just an art
No,
prodigy.
he's a prodigy, and we're idiots
He takes after his parents.
that don't listen properly. So yes, Vincent van Grot has got my vote.
It's also just the notion of the thing. Like, so people there have been. It's the reason I'm doing it is because all the grots are fantastic. Like, people have done amazing work. Even like there's somewhere. There's a couple I really love where it's just like a couple of friends of mine sat down with their two kids and they're like 4 and 5, and they just sat down and all painted it together, and like that's kind of what that's kind of community side of it I like. But I like how there was also this kind of unofficial competition to give the grot the biggest gun that you can. There's several members of the big grot club.
Pretty bonkers ones.
And yet Tom's just gone down the angle of, no, I'm going to give him an easel. He's nice. Also, the fact that it's missing an ear. I don't know if you've noticed that.
Oh yes, I've only just realised.
If you take a look, he is. He has his right ear missing, which just demonstrates the dedication to the cause. Yes,
I think like it could also be an ongoing thing, because I think I'd really love it if he could also have on his easel a brutal painting of warfare. I think Tom needs to do like a series.
I'll ask him. Because so I mean, there's definitely going to be more community grot stuff going forward. I've kind of knocked on the head a little bit of it, just because obviously the logistics and practicality and also wiseness of me sending a bunch of packages to people's houses and people send them back to me. Probably not wise in the middle of a pandemic. But when everything's a little bit safer, I will be doing round 2.
Nice.
And also I know several people still have them to do. Even a few months on, which is nice. So there's still a few more to come in, which is real nice. And I lost about half, which is I was expecting worse. I'll put it that way. Like I was I've taken it as a. I think the ultimate joke is that people say that I've cheaped out and just got everyone else to commission to paint my grots for me, but actually.
But it's going to cost a fair wedge
Well,
getting them around the world.
It cost me about £2 to send a grot when you take into account the envelope, the stamp, and the stickers and stuff that go in there. So
it is the most ludicrous commission painting project of all time, really, isn't it?
And so I know I sent you the family photo of all of the grots earlier on. Yeah. It just it's such a good representation of what the bucket should be about. That's just silliness, but everyone kind of just getting involved. Which is why I've taken a leaf out of your books when we'll be playing Hungry Hungry Hippos when we can play again. Which I'm very excited about. Have I told you about Hungry Hungry Hippos yet?
No, you've not mentioned it. Like I think the most recent kind of crazy spitball idea was the what was it called? The squiggish.
Crotch. I think it was Crotch's Squig Dog.
That's the one. Yeah. And we got very
Yes.
excited about the idea of the squigs bouncing around in my homemade labyrinth.
Yes, we did.
Um,
That's also going to be a thing. Also, I
that's the
forgot to say, yes, Matt in chat is also has a grok for me that he's doing Tau Wise, and he's called it Commander Shortsight. Which, if that isn't the best name for a Tau grot, I don't know what is.
that's good. I like it.
But yeah, so yes, we'll be doing plenty of silly games. That maybe we can even stream it when we do a game of Crotch, Squiggy Dog in the Labyrinth.
Well, like going back to that, missing,
Yeah,
missing gaming. Like I haven't sort of had the itch to scratch that I thought I might, because I found a lot of ways around it, and I've also really enjoyed focusing on more silly, like there's this pile of these tank busters. God bless them, have been floating around for God knows how long. They just keep getting bumped down the pecking order because I'm gonna suddenly convert a Mecha Dread. Oh yeah, I'm gonna make a squig off. So they keep getting like pushed back. So it's quite nice not worrying about painting stuff that I want to take to a game. But yeah, I think when we are eventually all safe to go back, I mean the first few club nights, I can imagine not even just playing. They're not really going to be games nights, are they?
no.
Because we're all going to have so much to catch up. Like that's what I always loved about both. We've had a couple of venues as a club, and I've loved them both equally, but for very different reasons. Like I loved how sweaty and hot and cramped and noisy the Duke was. Like the fact that you rub bums with the people on the gate playing on the game behind you, because you were just compressed together into this space. So you just you always knew what was going on. You always saw what was happening, even if you didn't have time to talk about it.
I don't miss the sweat. I do miss the music because it's a on the Wednesday nights when I had club nights there. It was also a jazz night, so you always have a sexy live jazz band downstairs.
But it was I just loved how kind of intense, and it was like a sensory assault because it was so loud. You had to shout at your opponent, but yeah, like because you were also packed in, everyone knew it was. You had to be familiar and friendly, and pass people their beers, or like you were always in the way of their case or their book, and so you always saw what they were doing.
Especially if you have four around a table.
Yeah, so it's cramped as hell, and like you just there's miniatures are like falling onto your table, and you're like, here, have your model. Oh, that's actually a really nice model. Don't have it back. I want to look at that a bit longer.
No one ever did that to me, weirdly.
It's like throwing the glocks back at the bucket. But like, and so we had that. One end of the extreme, and then we moved to Excelsior, which is it's above a comic shop, and it was just us, no live band, no 200 people drinking outside in the beer garden, and so it is a lot more calm and measured, and you can really take the time.
It's a bit more social.
Yeah. Like I mean, both are social, but in very different ways.
Absolutely.
And I think what I like with the Duke, you saw a lot of stuff because it was everywhere. It was in your face. We were so cramped. But with Excelsior, with a quieter venue, with more space, you get to not only see everything, but actually chat to everyone about what they've bought. And that's kind of what I like is, like I'll play someone's Space Marines one week, and then when I come back, the next time, they've kind of got, they might have just been like base coated when I played against them. But when I look at them in their next game, it's like, you've highlighted them. That looks really good. And like so you see them aesthetically evolve, but also you might see the same armies playing again and again tactically evolve. So like it's like seeing people learning more about the army from a hobbying point of view and also from a gaming point of view.
Yeah.
And you kind of feel like in that quieter environment, where you can have more time to sort of take part in that, you really feel like you go on the journey with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you wanted to have an in-depth conversation with someone at the old Duke or our old pub venue, it would be at the expense of playing time, and you'd be aware like some guy's trying to talk to you about the thing you just painted, and like your opponent's like, come on, man, roll the dice. Whereas because it's in a quieter venue, you can kind of split your focus a little bit more, so you can chat and play. And I think the first few nights, I imagine we're back at club night, once we're all safe, and restrictions allow, I think it's just going to be a case of just like going around and touching people. You're back.
Yeah.
We bond with them, but I think it'd be also quite nice. Like, we've often talked about doing like a club armies on parade, and we're always doing like little things online on Facebook as well. But I like the idea of everyone like bringing the best thing, their favourite thing they've painted during lockdown, and so I think that's going to be quite cool. I'm
Yeah.
forward to.
I think what we're gonna sneak preview what I'm gonna organise. So I've got a buddy who's a photographer as well. Is when we get everyone back together. That's one of the other venues we've got. Is big Bristol Independent Gaming, great shop, great gaming venue, and we're gonna get down there and just take all the armies you want to take. And we're just gonna just not. I mean, people can have games they want and stuff, but the principle will be we're talking about War Vanguard quite a lot. So Vanguard is our club name, and so I want to get every single orc model that we have out on the tables and just see how big it is. Because I've got a whole looted tank company on my shelf. Obviously, I'll have 2,000 painted grots by then. We've got all of your looted stuff, all of your lovely wagons. We've got Ali Mills, amazing orc boys and massive stomper. We're gonna have so much cool stuff on the table, and so I want to kind of get down and just have basically just a hang and photo day. So I've got a couple of friends who are photographers who've said they'll come down and help, and just snap some pictures of the big things, snap some pictures of people's armies for them, and like you say, just because I think we need that kind of social day just to chill before we.
And that catharsism really as well.
Yeah, just talking to people again.
Everyone's had a different experience.
Yeah.
I know some people have really struggled for motivation. Some people, like myself, I found it essential, and after homeschooling, and my partner was really ill in the first lockdown. So we were off shielding, so I wasn't working. I was homeschooling the kids and looking after her. And so it was just nice to be able to come and paint some stuff.
It's been a weird year, innit? But I think at the same time, so people in our club are increasingly using tabletop sim to kind of get back into it. And I found actually I can't deal with tabletop sim. I think what I had.
That's because you can't do a grot table flip.
Yeah, you can.
That's your mate. Can you?
Yeah, plenty of times. I've played several times on grot table and done a table flip. I played a few games on there, but I think what I realised what I like about 40k a lot more is that kind of tactile, like it's same with D&D. Tactile models on the table, rolling the dice, that kind of having, chilling with someone and kind of just having a bit of a chat. And I think when you boil it down to it, 40k is not a computer game. And I think when you can reduce it down to a computer game, also I think it's a bit clunky.
And you want to see that guy that you spent hours painting or minutes painting, actually doing something on the tabletop. And then if someone pulls off something outrageous and survives, you embrace that model. It's like, yes, that thing. Whereas I don't think you feel that level of excitement.
Yeah. And which it's weird because I remember being a teenager and being like, exactly. I remember being a teenager like, oh man, I wish there was like a game, like a computer version of this where I could like pick whatever models I want, pick what colour they are, put them on any board and just like play. You can just use whatever models you want, which is obviously what tabletop sim is, or as close as we're going to get to it. And it just doesn't. I think
it's a fill-in.
There's something about having your own models on the table, like you say. Like it's something about owning the models. It's like, oh, actually, I like that.
Matt,
yeah.
Could I briefly be unprofessional?
Yeah.
Would I be able to nip to the toilet?
You may indeed, as long as you put your hand up. Yep. Yeah.
Cool, lovely. Show some pictures of stuff.
I will show a slideshow while Jerome goes off for a wee. There we go. There's the slideshow. Some of Jerome's stuff will last when he gets back. As you'll see from those pictures. Hello to everyone in the chat. Thank you for persevering with us today, by the way. We have a lot of sound issues earlier on, which we now fixed. So thank you for those who told us they were a problem. Also, tomorrow, I think, we get Twitch affiliate, which means I can start dishing you all out VIP badges. My stance on VIPs, if you've been here with us for the past week at least, so it's kind of start streaming again, then a VIP badge will be winging its way towards you. We'll have the most VIPs by proportion of any chat ever, and that's fine by me. The only other thing to mention, if anybody doesn't know, is we have a Discord, which basically I'm just using to kind of have a bit of a chat with people, to make a nice kind of positive hobby space, and also at times, like if my guest is off early or whatever, then I'll just kind of open up Discord on there, and we'll just all have a hobby night together. Also, one of the other things we've been talking about in that Discord at the moment is running a few little kind of grot-based RPGs, 2d6 style, very silly, very funny, very quick and easy to learn, which anyone on Discord will be eligible to come and join on stream, and we will just play silly games of grots. So yeah, if you do have Discord, and you want to join us, and you're not already in there, go and join that Discord link, and we'll have a bit of a chat. Also, you'll never miss a stream if you're not busy, because I will be able to, I will be dropping kind of reminders and know we're on. And obviously, everyone in Discord can come on as a guest on the show and be like Jerome and talk about stuff. Speaking of Jerome, we've had him back.
Hello.
Let's go back to him. So the talking of kit bashing and tank, we were talking about tank bash earlier on. I've got a small sneak preview to announce, which is that have you been following Spanners, the Games Workshop comic?
No.
It's a web comic, and I'd highly recommend it. It's funny, I love it. But the chap who does Spanners is a gaming buddy of mine. I say a gaming buddy of mine. He's someone who I've kind of connected on Instagram. We've kind of ended up chatting and kind of become friendly. He's coming on Friday, which would be nice.
Nice.
He has promised at some point he'll get the bucket into the Spanners webcomic, which would be nice.
Is this on the Warhammer community?
It is.
Cool.
I highly recommend you watch. He has
Yeah.
this really nice stylized way of doing grots and squigs, and I love him. I kind of want an army of ones that look like that. But also, I've sent him some fanatics because we were discussing ideas on how to make a grot tank buster, and there are several ways. And another friend of mine who runs a bits thing, so he's going to do a few up. He's got a few ideas, which are basically going to be imagine a fanatic but swinging a massive anti-tank mine.
Yeah.
Which would be nice. The other thing I kind of fancy doing though is squig hoppers with can openers, like the old style, like 2-blade can opener with like a big bottom blade and a top smaller blade.
Yeah.
So I might get some squig hoppers and give them all giant can openers, and they can be my tank hammers.
Nice.
Just
And it does feel wonderfully orky, this hand hammer. I'm just going to get it real close. I'm going to expend all this effort getting right up close, somehow survive the maelstrom of war, and then hit you with a weapon that instantly kills the both of us.
I do need to share some breaking news. The box of grots that need making brown is empty. All the grots that need to be brown are brown. Do you want to hear the sound of 540 grots being poured back into that box?
Yes.
So I've done them all brown, and let's record this momentous moment as I tilt you that way. Hopefully, be able to see my nice box. Oh, you're upside down, but we'll have to deal with that. So this is my empty box, which I've been putting all of my
Drum roll.
Drum roll, thank you. This here is my full box of everything that now needs guns painting silver. Let's do it without breaking it, shall we? This is the noise that 540 grots make going into a plastic thing. Was that unbearably loud?
It wasn't too bad. It was just watching it from this end. We got the sound before we got the visual. It's like you reversed the sort of speed of light and speed of sound relationship.
Also upside down.
You weird sort of physics necromancer.
Of course.
It's also the sound. It's also the sound of 540 models all chipping and needing repainting. Ironically,
this is people. Generally speaking, whenever people find out about the grots, they either ask me like why, or some people get weirdly angry about them. They think it's like really disrespectful. I'm like, hey, they're my models, so suck it up, buttercup. But also, they're one piece. The worst thing that can happen to one of these models is that the helmet spike comes off, and if the helmet spike comes off, it's just one less thing I have to paint. So like they are.
Also, by just throwing them into the bucket, you're kind of. You're doing like automatic highlighting and weathering as the paint rubs off.
Exactly that.
They're going to get better over time because you're going to get more highlighted and more weathered. You're going to be doing more technical painting on them the more often you throw them back in the bucket.
I think that tracks because have you? I don't know. Have you taken on the Crotch challenge yet?
Not the full,
No.
no, not the full one. No, I mean the picture I sent you that
Do you want to
you.
talk about that game?
Yeah, God, I want to talk about that game. Well,
Okay, I've put the
I don't
world's most
want
embarrassing picture up, which doesn't look embarrassing until you know the story. Because it looks in that picture, it looks like I'm very much up in the game. Um, until you consider that that's all of my army and like a fifth of yours.
like, and
Go
it
on
took.
then.
So the previous shot was actually two Shining Spear Exarchs, surrounded by half the amount of grots. They gradually managed to whittle down the first guy, and then double the amount of grots moved in, and still failed to kill. I think they eventually killed the Exarch,
Only
but
through
sort of
pistol shooting.
whilst they were busy doing that, the rest of my army just kind of like appeared around either side, and the next turn just shot them all to
There's what,
pieces.
2, 3 units of Dire Avengers?
Yeah, but yeah, Dire Avengers. And all that it was just relentless shuriken catapulting. Um, but it was so that's my only experience of the bucket when it was in its infancy.
That was
It was
only,
about 150
I think it's
grots,
150. Yeah. How many?
800 points, wasn't it? For
Yeah,
thunder.
and there were three mech guns in there as well, which I left an annoyingly basically. So your shining spear, I remember your shining spears charged up the board, and just immediately got flattened by some mech guns, and then there was like two of them left. And what I had done is I'd killed enough grots, or I had removed grots conveniently behind the mech guns,
Yeah.
which wasn't big enough space for all of your shining spears, so it didn't matter. But suddenly, when there's only two shining spears left, it was a perfect little gap for two shining spears to fit in, who then blew up all three of the mech guns, and then started work on the cross.
But I think that's been my only experience of the bucket. But it's also the first time that you and I played.
It is.
Um, so yeah, it'll forever have a place in my heart.
It might
Um,
have also been the first time I actually bought 150 grots to a game.
it felt quite seminal.
Mm.
Um,
Who knew
and
how iconic it would go on to be?
yeah, who knew, man? I mean, I think at that point as well, like we'd sort of we'd socialised in the context of the Duke, which is rubbing bums as you
Yeah.
pass from table and be like, oh. So it was our first opportunity to actually hang out and play a game and swig rum from your hip flask.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, that was. Oh, that's my smoky rum. That was cut to the smoke.
and I think it's it cemented our friendship. So
I think so.
um,
Although I'll bring better whiskey next time.
it was also that was actually also the last night we had at the Duke before we went to Excelsior.
Was it? Oh man,
So
makes
yeah,
sense.
I feel like we sort of said goodbye to the Duke in style.
Oh, you're
Um,
right.
it was
Yeah,
that summer that heady summer of 2019. Yeah, 2019.
the second best summer after the Pokemon Go summer. Do you remember the Pokemon Go summer when everyone was just out?
Wandering around, like walking
Yeah,
in traffic, looking for fun. Yeah,
yeah, but
like
it
this.
was like people were just outside and having fun, and it was great.
It's just
Now I
basically
just yeah,
geocaching with Pokemon.
yeah, don't diss.
And
I'll end you.
wow, see, I never got on the Pokemon
Of course, because you
wagon.
were 40 in the 90s.
Yeah, I know. I was born old. I was still arguing about the benefits of stout and vinyl, even then at a tender age. Um, but yeah, so that's my experience of the bucket. And actually, I'm only really now at a point where I've kind of got enough stuff up there in the cabinet to make something bucket appropriate.
Well, the good news is after lockdown, the bucket challenge is going from 540 up to 720. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Well, I'll happily be a guinea pig for that. I mean, not like most of my armies sort of stop around the 1,500 to 2,000 point marks. I rarely play above 1,000 points.
yeah.
But so having enough points to take on the grots is a challenge in itself. But B also, you need the right kind of thing to kill that many grots.
Yes.
Like you need a lot of anti-chaff, and you're not going to just ordinarily have a 2,000 point army of purely anti-chaff lying around.
But then that's kind of the magic of it. That's why I love it, because it just is a. But only because, especially I find this with ninth. Like I found it with eighth, and I'll probably be the same with ninth. The models that people love, but the models that people don't use, are models that are really good at killing chaff. because like there's no sense in bringing something that does 1 damage reliably at strength 3, strength 4, because it just bounces off Primaris. Whereas that actually means you can bring along like witches, I reckon, or demonettes. Demonettes
Yeah.
are because what they're 3 attacks each, 4 attacks each. Strength,
3, but I think you get up to 4 once you got like 20 of them.
yeah, and AP 1 on the claws.
AP 1, yeah, and if you wound on a 6, you get the -4.
Yeah,
If,
that.
if you got Herald in there, because you're only toughness 2, aren't
Well,
you?
this is it. Yeah, so this is
So
exactly it.
you're wounding on 3s and then 2s if you've got a Herald nearby.
Yeah, which is and this is it. Like, how often as a demonette you get to kill stuff on 2s, and not
Yeah.
just wound, kill, because there's
Oh god, I've
yeah.
long given up any hope of my demonettes actually killing anything. My seekers, like, I just chuck warp surge and delightful agonies on them,
Yeah.
and have them as like mobile screens,
Mhm.
and they're actually really infuriating to opponents.
Yeah, but this is it. You can bring them and they can kill stuff.
Yeah,
Seekers will go through grots like a cold knife through. I mean, a hot knife through butter.
through grotty butter.
Yeah.
Well, I did originally write. I did put together a list of my Chaos Marines and demons. Do it because it lots of sonic blaster fire as well. Or
Yeah.
pop those little tiny grotty eardrums. But yes, I'm in the orcs now because I can't stop just making.
I can't believe it took you so long to have an orc army.
Yeah, I mean,
like it's the same. You know, Ger, don't you?
Yeah.
Like he's literally only just started an orc army, and I can't imagine how it's taken him so long.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, I think when I got back into the hobby, because I had this like Eldar army and a Chaos Marine army to strip and redo because I painted them in the mid-90s and had no talent. And well, like some of the stuff I've got and repainted, was originally painted with like those old like hum roll Airfix model
plane
paints.
The really shiny ones that look like enamel.
No, they were horrible. I had some. You could get the shiny ones. My mate James had the shiny ones. I had the horribly matte ones.
Oh.
Between us, we covered both our first few armies in just the horrible paints. Yeah, so I wanted to sort of strip them, so they were kind of the focus. But then, yeah, it's funny how these little things, like the Orc army that just came out of wanting a couple of certain models.
Yeah.
My Genes to the Cult army purely came out of stumbling across that Patriarch model where he's just kind of he's giving someone a hug, and I kind of thought, like, it kind of looks just as threatening as it does, just really lovely.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, he just wants a cuddle, or I just want to rip your head off. And I still can't decide to this day, but I just knew I wanted to paint him. And a buddy of mine, we over a weekend, we just we did like a kind of a round robin 500-point silly army like mini tournament between ourselves.
Oh yeah.
I think our respective partners and children were away for the weekend or something. So yeah, we had like a freebooter list. My Exodites were messing around, some Harlequins, an all goth list. My Genes to the Cult. Like, so I put together a 500 list for that by turning some old Delac gangers that I had lying around from Necromunda into Brood Brothers. And that whole army kind of came from that. So, yeah, that then was and then my Tyranids kind of came from that because I wanted something a bit beefier to kind of help the cult out. So, yeah, it's kind of once I worked through that was like my first new or like original army.
Yeah.
My sort of second coming of the hobby. So
was there triumphant choral music? I feel like second coming should be like accompanied by some kind of like choristry.
Yes. Like air cello.
Yeah. Some Gregorian chanting.
Yeah, they weren't that successful on tabletop though, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean that's a recurring trend. So the guy whose fault that is one of my mods in the chat. So next time you're on, he might even be about if James you're about you ruined Jerome's life.
With the point nerf the aberrants, the jackals was.
Yeah.
But I mean, by the time that kind of came out, I'd kind of taken the army through its cycle anyway.
Yeah. Well, but to which buff are we talking about to aberrants? Because I'm pretty sure aberrants have had 2 3 point hikes and now twice what they used to be.
It's a joke, man. It's a
Yeah.
joke. I just don't think like I really liked the index days
Yeah.
in general. I love the parity
Hmm.
of the index days, but also the Genius of the Cult table. I think was a bit more exciting in the index
Yeah,
version.
absolutely.
It was a bit more random, but when it worked, man, it was beautiful.
Yeah. I
Um,
think the issue with Genius of the Cult is they don't stand up on their own. Like they've got too many gaps on their own, which you should be filling with guard and
yes,
nids. But there's no point
yeah,
in taking guards and nids as Genius of the Cult because
the
the thing,
the nid or guard versions just do the
yeah,
job better.
exactly. That's
Uh,
exactly it. If you're gonna take
yeah,
if you're gonna take a predominantly guard army, why would you take it and deliberately hamstring yourself by not having like Cadia or
yeah,
Catachan or whatever?
it's decent orders.
Which is a shame.
Um, But yeah, so then that they were all done, the Chaos
Mm.
was all done, the Eldar was all done, and then yeah, Orcs kind of came along. Yeah, I do feel like I found my
You're
spirit
calling.
animal, as it were. I should say my model cabinet is there above me, so every time I kind of look up at it, I'm looking at the models I'm talking about. And
Just looks like you're
I'm
being wistful.
wistfully looking into the corner and reminiscing of better days. Um, yeah, and I kind of, other than the Harlequins, the Exodites, the Craftworlders, the Genies of the Cult, the Tyranids, now the Orcs, I do feel like my flag is very firmly planted in the Xenos
Yeah,
ground, Chaos Army aside,
because you're a glutton for punishment.
and even then, you know, it's mostly demons,
Mm.
which kind of, I think I just
I feel like demons are honorary Xenos.
yeah, pretty much like they're not humanoid.
Yeah,
Um,
and games
so
actually hate them.
I don't think I could bring myself to paint. I look at humans all day, you know.
Do you know
They're,
what? That's
they're, they're overrated.
that's a really interesting take.
I want to paint something else. I want that escapism, and I kind of I we've got this whole sandbox like universe and
Mm.
setting full of all these wonderful alien species, and yeah,
And people want to
everyone
be a miserable soldier.
wants to paint a superhuman. It's like, man, there's sort of missed opportunity.
Mm.
Um, and also,
Although,
I've finished reading Fury of Magnus, in
mm,
which Graham McNeil has kind of he's wonderfully distilled my whole take on the Imperium down. There's a perpetual. I don't want to ruin it, but a perpetual has a chat in a vision with the Emperor. I can give that much away because perpetuals are always having little chats with the Emperor in visions, and they're saying, it's basically describing the Imperium of mankind as the Galactic Empire from Star Wars.
mm,
You go around enforcing your will upon people and murdering them if they don't comply. You're not, basically saying you're not actually the good guy here. This is why I hate you. And I need to go back and find that reread that chapter, and just make sure I've got that quote down. So I can quote Graham McNeil, every time someone goes, "Why don't you like the Imperium?" Um, yeah, I,
yeah,
I,
that's fair.
I like, you've got all this diversity in the universe.
Mm. I
You've
think you
got like,
choose to be a human. But
yeah,
not. I mean, let's be clear at this point. That
oh,
there is,
each to their
yeah,
own.
there
God,
is no wrong army to collect.
there is no wrong army. You can paint whatever you like, but that's just that's why I will never. I genuinely don't think I could ever
Mm.
paint an Imperial army.
Yeah,
So it kind of it narrows, it narrows my options. I do like. I have thoughts in the back of my head of maybe like I love those Skullback destroyers.
yeah, they're
Uh,
beautiful, aren't they?
I can totally imagine a little Necro army based around that.
Are
And
you,
I quite like the Homunculus covens. Even though there's not a whole lot to them, but I really enjoyed the Josh Reynolds Fabius Bile books.
oh yeah. Are
In
you
which
are you tempted to pick up some Scorpex from Imperium, by the way?
what do you know? What I've cancelled my subscription. I got a bit trigger happy. I just kind of thought, like, do you know what? I think it's issue 4 they come out with. I might just make sure I know when that's out and pick up
Yeah.
a couple.
I think
Issue 4.
I think there'll be a lot of competition for that one. But yeah,
Yeah.
I've stayed subscribed because I feel like I have a
Well,
lot of Necrons, but
you've got a Necron army. It makes
yeah,
sense. For me, it was just like I basically didn't look at the website very well. I just went, oh yeah, I looked at all the free stuff.
mm,
I thought, oh, the Chaos Marine bit, the Orc bit, I'll have that.
And didn't realise it's like 40 editions in.
Yeah, you have to wait
Yeah.
another 20 years to get them.
Yeah.
So I'm currently in the process of cancelling
To
it.
be fair, I haven't gone premium. I've just gone for the regular one.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, yeah. If I couldn't have if I couldn't have cancelled it, I would have been like, oh, fine, fair enough. I'll try and bump down from premium to regular for
yeah.
6 issues and cancel it. But yeah, I did work. I think the other day I worked out that a Scorpec Lord, two lots of 3 destroyers and 10 Necron Warriors is bang on 500 points
Fair.
for like
Yeah.
a funny little combat patrol.
I'm definitely gonna have some spare warriors you can have, because I've got 100 here, and I'm definitely gonna get at least another 20 or 30.
Are they being carried around in like a scaled down like tomb or sarcophagus?
Well,
The
it's weird. So
bronze-
the weirdest
the
bit of all,
to bronze.
the weird bit of it is I had 100 Necron warriors, but they were the old ones because I used them in a tournament. And
Yeah.
so Indomitus came out with new Necrons, and I was like, well, so I gave those ones away, and then started again. So I had like 3,000 points of Necrons, which then got distilled down into 18 Wraiths, and I just bought 3 Indomitus sets. So and then a few extra bits. So I'm sitting pretty. It's fine. But yeah, it's. I feel like I've kind of got on the Imperium wagon, as in the magazine, mainly for FOMO. Just because, like, with Conquest, yeah, like I keep looking at Conquest and I keep trying to buy certain editions of Conquest I want stuff from.
So now you're thinking, well, sod that scrabbling around after
Exactly. Yeah. Whereas, you know, like there's a nice bit of terrain in there. There's some Cybermarines. I'm still in two minds what to do about the Marines because I would love to see. And I've seen a few which make me like. I like when people do gritty Ultramarines, and I quite like the idea of doing that. And obviously because you get Calgar, I know you get Gulliman in there. You know, it's a cool. Yeah, Gulliman comes in it. I presume it'll be issue 79 and 80 of 80. But yeah, so you get a Gulliman eventually. And I figure like everything in there you're going to be able to get rid of for more than, or at least $7.99. So
yeah, well, that was also part of my thinking, but then in the end, I just thought, oh, I just can't be asked with.
If you don't want that much stuff out of it, it's a faff. But like, I'd like a small Abmech army.
I didn't want to be doing all the Del boying with the different bits.
Yeah, like whereas I say, like I'd like a small Marine army. I'd like a small Abmech army. I'd like a small Sisters army, especially in the moment because, as we might stream yesterday, Sisters are probably the most broken army out there at the moment because their ability is just to have loaded dice. Here's 20 dice that you can have, and you can make them whatever you... Well, you can roll them and you can use them whenever you want, so you can just plan out your whole game.
Oh, crikey.
Yeah, have you not encountered Miracle Dice yet?
No, do you know, my experience of Sisters is tiny. I've played them twice, both times in doubles.
So basically, Sisters have this thing called Miracle Dice, and you tell me if you think it's broken. You get a certain amount of dice every turn, depending on how many Sisters units you have. So people obviously go MSU to get as many as they can, so it's not unreasonable to have 15, 20. And basically, you roll all the Miracle Dice, and then you keep all those dice there, and then whenever you're required to make a dice roll, you can just choose to pick one out of the pool and put it in there. So if you're like, oh, cool, well, I've got my Seraphim that I want to... Oh, so Repentia, the big broken one. Repentia run around with massive eviscerators and just blend everything. And turn one, you can right column move. I'll charge. I'm going to need a 12-inch charge. Once per phase, thank you. I'm going to need a 12-inch charge. Cool, I've got a 6 there straight off the bat, so... Like, you pretty much guaranteed a 7-inch charge all the time. So it's just a way of kind of basically playing with loads of dice.
What do you have to do to get these Miracle Dice?
I believe I need to have a proper read up, but I'm pretty sure it's basically by having the Sisters units, they generate them, and then when they die, you get some more, I believe.
So there's no like cost of CP, or
nope.
there's no trade off basically.
Only that you get some of them when your units die.
Yeah, that sounds a bit.
It just means you can kind of guarantee stuff you really want to guarantee. Like charges, like, oh cool, I've got this weapon here, I'll guarantee to hit with a 6. Cool, that's nice and helpful. But they're also gorgeous models, and so I'd like some. But what I would like to, so they might end up with Lee, who is my go-to commission painter at the moment, in a kind of like nice white and blue, but like, you've seen Lee's World Eaters, haven't
Well,
you? The pre-heresy
yeah.
ones. So basically, yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah. So in that kind of like white and blue, but kind of bloody as well, like battle worn.
Yeah. Okay. I can see
Yeah.
that.
But yeah, so yeah, I'd like some Sisters at some point. I'd like some Mad Mech at some point. You get them some of that stuff in there. So it's
But that's
the,
the thing. I kind of feel like with Crusade kind of coming in and that being a starting like 50 power level,
yeah,
like I don't know, like I said, because I rarely play above 1,000 points,
hmm
um, and yeah, you chat with people like in groups or forums, whatever, and it just kind of you just kind of feel like every list you ever see go up is 2K,
yeah,
and anytime you bring up a topic of conversation and it's not about 2K, like you can hear, even if they're not specifically writing, well, why the hell aren't you playing 2K? It's like you can hear it behind their words.
yeah,
What do you mean? What do you mean? You play 2K? You play
yeah,
one, you play 2K. So yeah, I kind of like the small little games,
yeah.
and it feels like with now like Combat Patrol
hmm
and Incursion or whatever, is it Strike Force or Incursion? I can't remember which one
Can't
is
remember.
the 1,000 points.
Oh,
Um,
Incursion.
Now they've kind of got like those table sizes, and it just feels that they've been a bit more legitimized.
hmm Because we
And so it's kind
play 800 at our fun night, which I think is now. Don't get me wrong. I love a 2K game. I'm not gonna. It's still my favorite point, but 800. I think because I think 1,000 you get kind of lots of standard lists, whereas I think 800 is
gets to be a bit more creative.
yeah, it's so much more than the 500 that you can fit. It's basically 500 plus some nice toys.
Yeah, and that's my main gaming,
Mm.
you know. Um, but yeah, I think the sort of the legitimacy now of Combat Patrol,
Yeah.
I think is good for like hobby magpies
hmm
that do just want to be like, do you know what? I really just fancy painting half a dozen
I
units.
don't know any of them.
Like, you could probably do a custodes list of like 7 models or
mm.
something ridiculous like that. But yeah, so
Three models, three Galatas, four models, three Galatas dreadnoughts, and a shield captain of bike. Done.
there you go. Well, like Necrons, take a Lord, take some Immortals, and take a Void Dragon. Boom, 500 points
Mm.
or something ridiculous like that. But yeah, that's the one thing I think I'd worry about even if I just did like a sensible 500 point Scorpio Destroyer list for the sheer joy of painting,
hmm
2 dozen models. I'd be like, oh man, there's that Void Dragon over there, or there's that Doom Scythe,
The
or
Void
there's that
Dragon. The
Void
Void
Dragon.
Dragon is the first model that I've ever. I bought it from area on a streaming night, so I got home at about 11, and by 3 a.m. it was painted. Um,
Lunatic.
and to be fair, it looks pretty decent.
Oh
Like,
yeah, I really like your Void Dragon, man.
yeah,
He
it's
looks
alright. Yeah, like don't get me wrong, not gonna win any awards, but I like it. But yeah, I think Necrons have that. We talked about this yesterday quite a bit as well. Like Necrons are in a really good place because just everything is decent. You can use anything.
Hmm.
Like whereas some armies in the past have been really good. Eldar, yeah, cool. Eldar are great as long as you're playing 7 Eldar flyers or whatever. Whereas it's kind of Necrons is just decent. I should also definitely have some spare score packs, so we can chat about that outside of this.
Yeah.
Because basically, I'll just get you to build me something to pay for score packs. And whereas if you make me a vehicle, I'll give you some Necrons.
Sounds good to me. Sounds good to me.
But because yeah, I've already got 18 score packs, so I definitely don't need any more. That's when my
Well,
situation
I mean, they do die quite hard at the hands of a Morkanaut, I seem to remember.
That was
What?
only 3 of them.
No, yeah, but he killed 2 units of 3.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then so he shot one off the board first turn.
Mm-hmm.
Then you bogged him down with scarabs. He managed to get 3 eventually, shoot the other 3, and then duff up your warlord in close combat, only to watch him then like teleport like across the other end of the board.
Oh, the Plasmancer teleported to do some more
Yeah,
wounds and score some points. Yes, I also
yeah,
have a distinctly remember your warlord being absolutely smashed up by some Scorpex
yeah,
or Wraith.
yeah. I think one of the scrap jets didn't get his charge off,
Mm.
and I just didn't have the numbers to kind of get through all your invuns and your pesky reanimation protocols.
Now, to be fair, I also think that that was a bit of a weird game because of the way the deployment worked and the way our lists worked. It was basically my very fast score pick and race list versus your very fast Orc Evil Sons list, and whatever happened, turn one was going to be close combat, which it was. It was literally just turn one happens, boom. My only problem was with the slightly smaller boards, but it was funny as hell, and we should do it again sometime.
Like I embrace the smaller board size just because it fits perfectly on my kitchen table.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is what it's designed for, right?
I think 1,000 points. I think is just a bit too big for it. And like me and Jodie played some Zone Mortalis on my labyrinth for combat patrol size. I didn't know how it was going to fare in the labyrinth, and I reckon we could get something bigger on there. But I reckon about 750, 800 on that 32 by 44 or whatever it is.
It's probably perfect.
It's perfect for some kitchen table game. I think
absolutely.
Or like 1,000 of all of my stuff's got quite a big footprint because it's all buggies on.
Has your army got a big footprint? Has it?
Well,
no, I know exactly what I mean. Yeah,
for that size,
especially when you clog it with terrain. I find that's the problem with playing Orc. I've played it. All I had was a Baneblade and I had Baneblade 6 mech guns and a Gorkanaut, and I really struggled to deploy on some missions because of how busy boards are these days, which I love. I love a heavy terrain board, but it also means it can be really hard to get everything down effectively.
Yeah, boards were far more like spacious when I was like running a bunch of foot slogging, toughness 3, 1 wound, 5+ save infantry shoots up the board. Now that everything is like this sized and needs loads of space to kind of get through, now everyone's chucking terrain all over the place, and I'm like getting stuck. I think one game against Jodie, I actually had to do like a 3-point turn around one of my own vehicles to get where I want it to be.
What's going in your Squiggers, by the way?
What's going in it?
Yeah, tank busters.
I think it's good. Well, no, I think it's gonna be flash gits.
Fair. The only thing you got to bear in mind is their thing doesn't pop. They're strat to add +1 to their ballistic skill.
They have that.
No, that's only if you play flash. That's only if you play freebooters. My bad. Yeah.
No, well, they don't need anything.
No, because they get to shoot twice natively if they on a 6.
6. They'll probably have bad luck with them for rerolls of 1.
So you won't get that in a Squiggers.
But that's off his data sheet. You can have that, can't you?
Yeah, but they're not on the board. Technically, it's silly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's my biggest pet hate. Anyway, yeah. Flash gets is a good shout.
But, basically, because the Howder means they count as they don't get the -1 to hit.
Yeah.
So because they're heavy, like everything else is assault in an Orc army. The tank busters, they can just be in like the Chinook or a truck, because they're assault weapons.
Yeah.
And it's fine. But I mean they might still go in there anyway.
I love the Howder rules.
Yeah, so the fact that they're still hitting with their stance guns on 4s will be lovely.
And when the Squiggers in combat, which means you can run the Squiggers in, tie something up in combat, and just keep shooting. But the other thing I love about the Squiggers is it just gives you a really big footprint because you can shoot from anywhere on the Squiggers, and also the height. Like you can, I mean, what's I'm trying. I was going to guess what Squiggers height is, and I have a tape measure and a Squiggers right here.
4.5 inches.
Yeah, about 4.5 inches. Like. It's basically just a permanent 4.5-inch tall building that they're moving around on. Yeah,
and like I know it's 3. It's like it's the cost basically of 3 trucks.
Yeah,
but it's also like toughness 8, 18 wounds. It's
can stomp things.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just built for.
Also, it's cool.
It's a fun thing that I couldn't not build.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I like big beastie creatures. I mean, I've got like a nice little like 1,000-point list in my head whereby everything either has a squig on its like data sheet or is a squig in the public purpose. So I've got like my tank busters with their squig bombs, flash gits. The captain's got a git behind a squig.
Nice.
My war boss has an attack squig, and then I've got the squig off. So they're all like legit squigs. And then I've got my fighter bomber, which is powered by the big flying bat squig.
Nice.
I've I've got the other gargantuan bat squig which I'm working on. I've just seen myself on delay doing bat wings like this. It's very strange.
It's disturbing, isn't it?
I forgot about the lag.
This is why I just look down at my grots.
Yeah. The Storm Boys are also squig powered.
Mm.
And then to make them fit in, I've just done a grot and an orc knob that also have a little pet squig.
Amazing.
So they're not missing out on the fun. So yeah, 1,000 points of all squig. Like there's a squig in every unit.
Love it.
Which I'm going to run. I don't think it's going to be particularly effective as a list.
It'll be fun. It
would just be silly and fun and enjoyable. And yeah, that's what it's all about, really.
Nice. This is it. So I'm tempted either. Flash is a really good idea, actually. I haven't thought about that too much, especially because they don't need to be on the board for any of their abilities. Good shout. The other thing I'm really tempted to run in my Squiggoth is 3 big mechs with shock attack guns.
Yes.
Now, it's obscenely expensive for what it is, but it would also be funny just to have the 3 shock attack guns running around the board. But then I'm also... Lee is working on a special super secret project for me, which I might have told you about, but we haven't talked about on stream yet, and we're not going to until Lee comes on and can show us a bit of work in progress. Lee is working on a very big model for me.
Oh, is he doing that thing that we were talking about? Yeah, okay, right, yeah.
Yes, he's doing one of those, and in that style.
The wheel within the wheel, it's nice.
It's wheels and wheels and wheels.
I like the feeling of power.
Yeah. But yeah, so hopefully we'll have that. We'll have some kind of sneak previews of that soon as well, which would be nice. But I'm also very much looking forward to looting up that Warhound.
It will be very, very silly.
Haven't quite decided how yet. It's also a bit weird because they don't obviously normally kind of have bases, so it's hard to kind of give you that room to work with.
Yeah, it's nice. If you're doing something that big, it's kind of quite useful to work from the ground upwards, I suppose.
Yeah, but at the same time, like when that's your entire army, it can see everything, and it can be seen by everything, so it doesn't really matter too much. It's got a surprising amount of DACA though. It's quite nice.
The only thing I know about those ridiculous flame cannon things.
Yes, it's got 2 of them. 2 for.
I think once roasted about 6 bloodthirsters.
Yes.
At one silly club night.
Can't do that anymore though, which makes me sad. Because obviously it has to pay for the strap. But yeah, so it's 40.
I mean, it would have CP.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. But you can still only do it once, can't you? Which is a shame. I do wish that the Overwatch strat was
game side. Oh yeah, one charge.
Yeah.
But does it only get to do the Overwatch Act once, or does it get Overwatch for the whole?
No, I was hoping it would be the latter, but it's not. Sadly, it's
because that would kind of make sense. Like, your unit is preparing for a charge, and they're just like they're readied.
Yeah, they can. So when you hold like a hole, you can Overwatch as many times. That would be nice, even if it was like an advanced.
But equally, yeah, if you think about it realistically, your units aren't just going to like charge patiently one at a time, waiting to be overwatched. I did have a game, my first game with the Orcs, in fact, where I deliberately charged my war bikers into this plague marine death guard champion guy because I knew he had this horrific. I think it's called the Foul Gush.
Yeah.
Horrific name for this horrific weapon. And I lost one of the 3 war bikers, and even with their here we go rule, they still failed their bloody charge.
Oh no!
Survived the Overwatch, failed the charge, and I then lost my Scrapjet and Dragster. This huge weapon on Overwatch.
Yeah, I'm quite glad they've changed it a bit now because Overwatch was very powerful.
It's like if you have the right, I think some auto-hitting Deathwatch frag cannons. I remember once taking out like all of into Slanesh. Because they're individual units.
Just a wee bit silly.
Yeah. But hey.
It is what it is. But yeah, so 46 shots. So overall it has 86 auto hits, strength 7, AP 3, flat 3 damage. Which isn't bad.
That's bonkers.
Yeah, but it's also 2,000 points. So it's but then they've also changed how void shields work, which is quite nice.
Did you play the Grot list against a Warhound?
I did, yeah. It was unfortunately Jody, it's on YouTube, and Jody, unfortunately, he played me at my own game, which is I'm very strict about the 5 turn limit, because the point is it's a challenge and you got to do what you can in 5 turns. And so by the end of the game, there were 150 dead grots, which was impressive given he bought the Mega Bolter and the Magma Cannon. So he didn't even have kind of the optimum grot killing weapons. And the Warhound was down to, I think, 11 wounds when we had to stop. So yes, there will be, although one of our colleagues at the club has a Warlord.
Who's got a Warlord?
Ali Mills.
Yeah.
And so I think when this is all over, we shall go and take on 1,000 grots versus a Warlord.
Nice.
Just to see what happens. Right. It is 22:22. I have painted all of the remainder of the brown, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Let me just go with that. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 25, 30, 37 silver, and 39 brown. So I'm going to call that a good night's worth of painting.
That is impressive.
Unfortunately, my nice empty box is no longer empty.
You wouldn't have it any other way.
I wouldn't have it any other way. My biggest concern is there is a box that is about the same size, if not bigger, that has entirely base coated grots in it, waiting to go for when I'm done. And I know that
I kind of feel like this is like some sort of one of Dante's levels of hell.
Yeah.
Level of perpetually painted grots.
Yes. The bit that kind of compounds it all. I love painting grots. It's fine, especially when I can do it on stream, because it's nice to have people give me company, which is good. Which is kind of the whole point of this. The other bad thing I know is I have 200 more in a box currently on the way from Canada. But that does mean I've got 100 grots to pay for at the end of the month, and then when those ones arrive, it does mean I'll have 2,000.
Nice.
People always ask me if
then you'll stop.
I think the plan is 2,000. I will stop and get them all painted.
Okay.
And then from there, I'll need some more to send out for the community grot project. But I've also got 400 night goblins now. For ye olde bucket o grots. So I'll probably need at least 500 night goblins. So then I've got 500 night goblins to paint. But we'll see what the future holds. I keep coming across people who have big collections of second egg grots. Like someone the other day proudly told me they had 800, and I was like, well, I need to. There can be only one. So I think
like Bayern Munich, the Bayern Munich of grots. Like you can't bear anyone else in your community having the grots, so you just buy up all the grots.
Yes.
Like Bayern Munich with exciting young German footballers. So come.
Yes. Yeah, pretty much. I'm like the opposite of like the Spurs, like old money. What's that?
A monopoly of grots should therefore be a grotopoly.
I don't know. No, someone taught us a word the other day in the chat, and I can't remember what the word was. I feel really bad now. But there's a word for when you so monopoly is when you own the means of production of a thing.
Yeah.
And then there's a word which means that you own all the stock of a thing. It's a different word, and I didn't know. But yes, so not quite a monopoly.
Yeah.
But yes. So thanks for joining us, everyone. Thank you for joining me, Jerome. We'll have you on again soon. Always a pleasure to see everybody, and we should, I think, either from tomorrow or from the day after, be affiliates, which means that I can start dishing out affiliate badges and VIP badges and stuff. I won't. I can also put ads in my videos, but I won't be doing that because that's mean. Because I'm not I'm not here to monetize my grots. That would be unfair. So this will
be not what the bucket is about.
The bucket is not about advertising like that. So we will remain ad free unless it's people who are hobbying who have a service they happen to provide. And in which case, I'll just keep telling you how much people love to commission paint. So thanks for bearing with all the sound stuff today. Thanks for coming to join me, Jerome. And I will catch you on the flip side.
Nice. Right. Take care, everybody.
See you later, everyone.
Bye.